Thinking Media. We are joined by the legendary Steve Bunce. Bunce, you're at the Hennessy show. We're currently watching Sam Egerton versus Carlos Molina. We'll come to that fight in a moment. Bunce, I want to get your opinion on a fight that's kind of shocked boxing fans. Announced yesterday, Manny Pacquiao versus Errol Spence. A 42-year-old Manny Pacquiao must repeat. What was your initial reaction when you heard about that?
I wasn't that I was shocked. I think it was Manny against Spence, but I had a feeling Manny might try, maybe not one more, but certainly a big fight. So I'm not at all surprised that it's rolled up and it's turned out to be Spence and Manny. Listen, I wanted Manny to retire many years ago. In fact, since I've wanted Manny to retire, he's had some of his best wins. And that's just the way that Manny works. But I've got to be honest with you, I'm not really happy about the Spence fight. I just feel that Errol Spence can be really nasty when he wants to be, could be really accurate when he wants to be, could be really powerful when he wants to be. And you know, when you're 42, you can't turn anything back. That's a tough age. And I think it might be in for, well, we could be in for an ugly night. I don't want an ugly night.
Well, so I take it you're picking Errol Spence to win that fight. Do you think it goes a distance, or do you think it'll stop Manny Pacquiao?
I think Errol Spence will be sensible enough to know not to take any risks, because Manny at 42 can probably still punch. He'll still have a decent enough defence. I think Errol Spence can break him up if he wants. I think he can get to him if he wants. But will he want to? Will he not just want to make a good example of it? Because you're not going to walk through Manny Pacquiao in 2 rounds, so you're not going to make that type of statement. I think the way to beat Manny Pacquiao, the 42-year-old Manny Pacquiao, is to do it sensibly, to do it slowly, to pick your shots, all the stuff that Errol Spence can do. And great move by Errol Spence and his people. Great move by them. Brilliant move by them. Manny Pacquiao is a scalp and a half.
So, I think, for me personally, and I'm sure you could probably give me a good answer on this, if Manny Pacquiao pulls it off, beats Errol Spence, where does that put Manny Pacquiao in the all-time list?
Well, you know,
in the Steve Bunce all-time list.
Manny's already over every sort of all-time list. You know, if you think about it, multiple weight champions, you know, guys that have been written off and come back, guys that have been in great fights, guys that have survived chilling, horrible knockouts, all sorts of mad things. I mean, in the flesh, that would put Manny, if he were to pull it off, I mean, Manny's already, in my mind, one of the top 10 fighters I've ever seen. Amateur or pro, and you can see if you look at it, you can see that Manny. How could you not have Manny in your top 3 if he takes care of Spence? Spence is a special fighter. Sure, I'd like to have seen him more active. Sure, I'd love to have seen him fight Crawford. I'd love it be having his second fight with Crawford, but he's still a really good fighter. Just because a fighter doesn't fight their natural #1 enemy doesn't make them bad fighters. You know, Anthony Joshua's not a bad fighter because he's not fighting Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury's not a bad fighter because he's not fighting Joshua. The thing is, they'd both be better fighters if they fought each other. And Spence would be a better fighter if he fought Crawford. You know he would. But you know what? He's gone and found Pacquiao. It's not bad.
You mentioned Anthony Joshua there. There's like both camps are blaming each other. The team AJ is saying maybe Fury team knew that the fight wouldn't be able to take place. What do you read into all that? Do you think it was like a publicity stunt, or were they genuinely looking to fight each other?
Oh no, there's no publicity stunt. It's cost a lot of people a lot of money setting things up. You know, you make transatlantic flights, you look at sites, you visit places. You know, it all costs money. It's cost a fortune, this fight. What happened? We kept warning people on the BBC podcast that there was the arbitration date, 17th of May. Arbitration date, 17th of May. That's when we'll find out. And of course, what everybody believed is what Bob Arum, who was, of course, once worked for the American government in the 60s as a legal advisor, he's a trained lawyer, he looked at the arbitration hearing, or he was part of the arbitration hearing, and he thought it would be okay. He thought that the judge would give them permission to fight Joshua. Bob Arum told people that. Bob Arum told everybody that. Frank Warren believed it because his legal team had looked at it or were advised. Eddie Hearn took advice from Bob Arum. He was told that, look, this fight, don't worry about the arbitration. Everyone was told, don't worry about the arbitration. So most people might not have mentioned it, but we kept mentioning it on BBC. I mentioned it in The Independent. I said there is this arbitration hearing, but we all thought it was going to be plain sailing, and it wasn't. So no, it's not publicity, because I know how many miles Eddie Hearn put in going around the world, and Joshua's people, and also how much work Frank Warren put in to making it happen, and how much work Bob Arum and his office put in. Hundreds of man hours and woman hours, hundreds and hundreds of hours were put in to making the August 14th fight a reality. And it fell apart because a judge handed down a result that nobody was expecting. I find it quite amazing. Here's the thing. What needed to happen, if everyone knew that it was fake and show for publicity, why didn't one person on YouTube or in a newspaper or on radio say, this is all going to be fake, it's not going to happen? Because if everyone knew, why didn't they say it? You see, because this is round 8 of Sam Eggington now, right? If Sam Eggington knocks him out with a right hand in the next 30 seconds, you can't tell me in half an hour's time, I knew Sam Eggington would knock him out in the 8th round. You've got to tell me right now. You've got to tell me right now, right this second.
Okay,
So here's the thing. So last Sunday, if I'd have interviewed 1,000 boxing journalists and said, your life depends on telling me the truth now. Is the Joshua and Fury fight going to happen, or has it all been publicity? And unless you say it's been publicity and held your hand up, you can't then say it's publicity. You've got to do it beforehand. You win the lottery after your numbers get called out, not the next morning when you haven't bought a ticket. And that's what's happened with this fight. Everyone said, oh no, it was all a publicity stunt. You've got to say that before last Monday. It's that simple, you know what I'm saying? So it's a disaster because that fight's not happening. But you know what? We'll get Usyk against Joshua. We'll get Fury against Wilder 3, which I was looking forward to last July. It's fantastic. They're good fights. And you know what? All the people that know the result, contact me. Don't contact me on the Sunday after the fight. Let me know before so I can have a nice bet. Don't tell me on Sunday morning you knew it would happen. Tell me on Saturday night.
Talking of bets and picking fighters, I'm going to get you to do me 3 quick rundowns of Pacquiao, Spence. You've alluded that you think Spence will obviously beat him. Fury, AJ, if it happens, and Taylor Ramirez, where you're working on in a few hours.
Yeah, I fancy Taylor just wins, although I'm not convinced at all. I think Ramirez is a good fighter. I just think Taylor's got big fight mentality. Spence wins, and you can't do Fury and Joshua because before they fight, right now, they've both got to come through hard fights and hard spells.
And Usyk Joshua, how did you see that fight playing out?
Which one, sorry?
Usyk Joshua.
Oh, I see.
The mind frame both men are in.
I see Joshua winning, but he'll have to use every bit of his extra poundage and size.
Usyk putting a stone on will make a difference?
No. So it can't go in too light, but you can't just put bulk on. It won't. If you put 3 stone on and it's not natural, you may as well not bother. He'll put a little bit on. He'll come in heavier, probably heavier than he did against Derek, but not a lot heavier, because Usyk's chance of winning is about mobility. It's about punch picking. It's about being smart, and that's what creates the problem for Joshua. And I think it's a really hard fight for Joshua. Don't be at all surprised if Joshua comes in quite light.
Right, Bunce, thank you very much for
No
talking
problem,
to us.
brother.
Peace
My
out.
pleasure.